Welcome to Ask Gwen, everyone. Today with me, I have Lisa, and so I'm going to let Miss Lisa take it away. And trust me, Lisa and I have our waters right next to us, so maybe we can get through this without losing our voices or losing our breaths. We were just talking about how similar our stories were, and I'm 99% positive that I have asthma because that's the way I roll. I'm my mother's child, and of course, my mother, who passed away in 2010, gives the child asthma because it's genetic. And so, yeah, hopefully, we'll make it through this episode without having coughing attacks, asthma, breathing, because and today this does happen to do with today's episode, as we were talking about the smoke and the haze out in California and Oregon and Washington State does not help any asthmatic anywhere. So good luck, good luck to all of us who have asthmatic or chronic lung diseases. I don't know how we're still standing. So anyway, I'm gonna let Miss Lisa take it away and share her story, and we'll just enjoy.
Well, thanks for having me, Win. I think it's really cool what you do, that you're able to how many podcasts did you say?
Over 1,300.
I think that's amazing. I don't think I can do anything 1,300 times and not lose interest.
Well, I am. That's my. This is my joy to shine a spotlight on other people. And now, Lisa, could you please explain to my fan base more about what you do?
Sure. I am what you call an encounter coach. I let you have encounters with God. And in those encounters, you're going to see the places where you have limiting beliefs, maybe from things that have happened to you in the past. And then I help people activate their spiritual senses, the eyes of their heart, the ears of their heart, and the awareness of God shows up in the sense of presence. And then we exchange lies, limiting beliefs, and pain for truth. And when he speaks it straight to your heart and it bypasses the mind, it does something in you that actually also affects your ability to relax. Because when you're anxious and stressed out, or you have trauma in your body, you're tense. And when you have an encounter with God, and I know a lot of people don't think of God that way, but experience and the word of God go hand in hand. Otherwise, what good is it?
Yeah.
You know? So when you have these encounters with God, you'll often notice that the tension leaves your shoulders, or your guts are no longer in knots. You might even find yourself crying because you're letting go of things that have been a part of your life for so long, and you don't need them anymore.
Well, I found myself um, back at the before everything shut down. I was lucky enough in two senses of the words, lucky enough financially and lucky enough physically and lucky enough emotionally to go do a cultural immersion trip in Orlando, Florida. Basically spent a week with all my podcasting family,
Oh,
and spent a week learning how to basically be a better interviewer and learning and meeting all these fabulous podcasters who I knew through the podcasting spaces through the years. And when I got back on that plane, I I started, and now this was at 7 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time. I started to cry, basically, because I didn't know why I was um, crying when I left Orlando, and by the time I hit Chicago International Airport, bingo, I figured out why, because I was getting I was closing one door unbeknownst to me and opening up another door that needed to be opened up, aka ne- the journalist door needed to be opened up, and the education of kids needed to be closed. And so when I talked to my ex boss, now my ex boss, on at the beginning of April when we were all in shutdown and lockdown and
Mm-hmm.
shelter in place modes. Um, I said, "Well, would you like me to come in? Would you like me to mask up and come in and help you guys?" He goes, "No, we don't have a plan." And I'm like, "Hello, you guys. We're just coming off." He said to me, "We're just coming off spring break. It's better if you stay home due to your CP." And I'm like, "Bye, guys. I'm leaving. I'm retiring since you guys don't have a plan to help um me help you guys. And I'm going off to journalism land and staying in journalism land, and that's where I've been ever since."
It's funny you talk about that because I call that the felt experience. So you're on the plane, you weep, and then it takes you a minute to recognize, oh, this is about one door closing and another door opening. I call that the felt experience because
The
you're feeling it.
yeah, the felt experience. Geez, I'm like, okay, coming home to a job, home to a um, coming home to a job that I absolutely love, closing a door on a job that I didn't like. It didn't like me. I didn't like it. So, so I'm happy to say that I'm stuck in journalism land, interviewing people like you.
I actually am interested to know when you, so how does that look? You just interview people like me, or do you write yourself, or do you teach writing?
I I do it all. I write. Well, right now I'm in journalism school, so doing homework doesn't count. But I am 11 times published author. I did that before going to journalism school. Once journalism school finishes, which will be in March of 2022, I will go back to being a full-time, full-fledged journalist, writing exposés, writing books. I particularly like novels more than I like autobiographies. So that's what I'm basically known for, although I'm known for the autobiography side too. But I am pretty much known for my books, and no, my fan base knows that I'm going back to journalism school. So I think that's why they're giving me space and grace right now.
I love that. How many books? 11?
11.
That's amazing. One day I hope to be like you. I have two books, but 11's like, wow,
Yeah.
you've been busy.
Yeah. And this is all, and for me, I'm just honing my craft. I knew I always wanted to be a journalist. So, Lisa, what is your favorite book?
Oh, it's probably not a greatly known book, but it's called The Invitation, and it's by a gentleman named Tony Stolstis. And basically, he talks about um, how our lifestyle is sort of, we think of it like in a one or two dimension, when in fact there's many more dimensions. And he also talks about how our mind and what we believe and what we feel deep down are oftentimes at war with each other. And when I read that book for the first time, I I was fascinated because he kind of told my life story, but he used it a teaching platform. And so by the time I was done with the book, I noticed at the back of the book there was a phone number to reach out to them, and that they did workshops to become certified coach as a coach. And I waited for 10 years to find the right coaching program because I knew I wanted to coach people, but I didn't want to be a business coach, a financial coach. I didn't want to coach forward. I wanted to coach down, you know, to the heart level of where problems really reside. And so I picked up the phone and called them, and I was like, do you ever do workshops on the East Coast? And they said, well, we'd like to, but we haven't been able to yet. And so I found one sort of like in the middle of the state. It was a 4-hour drive. So I went, I did 3 workshops over there. And then I found a couple of them in Frederick, Maryland, and I got certified. And I do what I love to do now, which is help other people grow. You know, I always say the pathway to the heart is as individual as each person's experience. And so it can't be cookie cutter. And while there's like a teaching platform, but there's also an individual path. And that's that's my sweet spot. I help people individually, like the person that's in front of me. I'll listen to their story, and for some reason I can understand and connect the dots in their individual story.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a gift, and it's sort of my sweet spot, and I love it.
Yeah. And so, if your BFF had to write a book about you, what would the title be?
She's crazy as all get out.
He's crazy as all get out.
Yes.
That's a
because
title.
because the way I live my life is pretty untraditional in the sense of, so okay, the average Christian, they go to church on Sunday, they read their Bible, they do Bible studies, things like that. I feel like I'm always with God. And so I could go to church or I could stay home. And I don't let myself I'm not limited by, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. So I'm always dreaming, I'm always thinking, and my prayer life looks a little bit more like, so what do you think about this, God? Rather than, I don't know, people who pray scriptures.
Yeah.
It's just different. And so, and anytime you talk to me, I might have a new idea that I'm working on, or a new opportunity presents itself, and they're like, how does this happen to you? I go, I don't know. I just think about things, and the next thing I know, God's like, yeah, let's do it. So I feel like I live a life of real partnership with God and true relationship. I think it's the most fun way to live.
Well, isn't that amazing? And yes, I feel like I'm living with a higher power, God. I feel like God has blessed me with a some wonderful opportunities in my life, and he blessed me with the power of speaking, and he basically said back in the 90s, when I will basically teach you how to speak with the help of speech therapy, and then you're on your own. And I always knew, as I said, I wanted to be a journalist. And when September 11th happened, yes, I said 9/11. I I was lucky enough that year in 9/11, the year of 9/11, to go out to Washington, D.C. and
Oh,
see a story like at NPR, National Public Radio. And I was so fascinated in the equipment that I'm like, ooh, you can do this for the rest of your life and actually get paid for it. Yes. And so that's why I gave education, gave up on me and sent me in the right direction of journalism.
yeah. Isn't that strange how it just works itself out?
Oh, it just works itself out.
You go
Now,
from having a job to having a passion and a life you love.
oh, yeah, go from having a job to a job where you love it.
So I've had a couple of jobs that I've loved, but not very many. And when I don't like them anymore, I leave.
Yeah. Um, yeah, you leave because,
um, I
yeah,
just, I tried. And so as God brought healing into my life, I realized my interests changed, but the way that I live with a lot of anxiety. And anxiety made me a really good administrative assistant because I double checked and triple checked everything. Um, but the more healed I got, and the more whole I became, the more I wasn't anxious. And so if I'm not anxious, then, oh, well, and that some employers don't like that. And if my employer had, I'll just say like an angry side to them, that would be very triggering for me because I can't do anger. I grew up with an angry father and a punishing mother and father. So that stuff really bothers me.
yeah.
And one day I was just like, I think I was about 52, and this doctor, he got smart with me. And I said, I think I'm an adult now and I don't have to feel like a child. And that's how I was feeling. So I went to a couple other places. The last place I worked, no, the last place I worked within a health system, this woman actually got mad at me for doing my job well and I looked better than her. And so she called me in her office and she was going to she was actually kind of being smart with me. And she goes, like that, and makes this face. And I was like, I think I'm going to give you my 2 weeks notice. I don't want to be in an environment where I'm talked to this way. And of course my husband freaked out. What, you quit your job? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Long story short, I just realized I changed so much so that I couldn't do what I had become who God created me to be. I'm a
No.
people person, I'm caring, and I want to help.
You and I are like fitting a square peg into a round hole.
Right?
It's like,
Right? That's what
no,
I said.
we're not. No, we're not. We can follow authority to a T, but we'll just do whatever the heck we want. And it's like, no, a journalist.
Yeah.
I, I am, I am finally, you guys. I finally found that I wish a square peg had a square hole, but it doesn't. But in journalism, I finally found my square peg that fits into a square hole because I love journalism.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and when you're younger, you do what you have to do, but when you get a little bit older, you hopefully get to do what you want to do. I mean,
Well, I'm only 33, Lisa,
oh,
and
you're
I
young. I, I'm
feel
almost
like
twice as old as you.
I'm feeling like I now have to, I get to do what I want to do, and if I ever need a W-2 job again, I will always look in the field of creative aspects because creative aspects, I'm it.
Yeah,
I'm it.
yeah.
And so, Lisa, what is your morning routine?
Oh, I get up, I have coffee, I sit with my husband a little bit, and then I come downstairs to my office. And sometimes I write an article, sometimes I write a blog post. Next week, I'll probably do an article for someone else's newsletter. Usually have a client or two in the afternoon, but my mornings are spent sort of pondering and reflecting and checking in with myself and praying. And um, I have enjoyed COVID because it's allowed me to slow down. I
Yeah.
really found out I like the slower pace.
Yeah, well, the only thing that's driving me nuts about COVID is I'm a people person, but I am a social butterfly. So,
Yeah,
yeah, with COVID,
yeah.
it's not helping me. But the blessing about COVID is it's given me time to focus on my journalism, to focus on my schoolwork, and it would be for a while that I wanted to go like a traditional college student. For a while that I wanted to go to a brick and mortar school, and trust me, I tried. I got my original education degree out of a brick and mortar school, but as soon as COVID hit, I'm like, okay, I'll just be camped out in my little corner. This is my little classroom, and I'm like, okay, I'll just be camped out in my little corner doing my homework and be
Hmm.
happy as clam because I'm watching everything as these kids go back to school. I'm like, no, thank you.
I know, I know. I think maybe it speaks something to our adaptability, and
Yeah,
not everybody is. And I get that. My daughter works with children, and some of the parents have said that their kids have thrived being at home and being in school at home. And other parents are saying, my kid's struggling having to go back to school. And um, even the parents are struggling sending them back. So everybody has a range of emotions. But I do think it speaks something to our adaptability.
now, Lisa, where can people find you and where can people get a hold of you if they choose to do so?
Okay, first I have a website. It's called, well, the name of my company is Pittsburgh Transformation Center, and the website address is ptcenter.life. I'm on Facebook. I have a business page, a personal page, and then I have a group page that anybody could check out that's called Living from the Heart for Christian Women. I'm on LinkedIn, not as much. I'm on Instagram only for advertising purposes. But pretty much part of the adaptation during COVID meant that I really had to be online more. And so that's how you can get in touch with me.
And I know you have a question for me.
My question for you is, how did you ever get involved in podcasting? So much so that you ended up coaching people. I think that's such a specialized niche. And I just think it's the most amazing thing that you could do. Why talk about giving to other people?
Well, I got into podcasting because I wrote a book.
Okay.
And I am very, very lucky that I'm actually, you guys don't know this, but now you do. I am working on another book as of next week to tell a part of my story, which you guys know that happened to me, but now needs to be in book format, and it's going to be a novel. And I'm actually working with a book coach, Mary Moss, who had been on this podcast previously, and she and I met this morning, and we're going to start working together. And as an author to her, I'm actually coaching some of her clients that she works with primarily on books on how to market and advertise those books through podcasting, because a lot of people say, I want to write a book. They do it and then they go, now what? Now what?
Oh, yeah.
And then
I certainly
they,
did that.
yeah. And then they go, well, wait, now what? And and I'm, and then they go, well, I got my first podcast interview. How do I get it? And it's, how do I react? So I said to Mary Moss, I said, well, if you help me out with this project, I will help you by coaching your clients.
I love
And
bartering.
so that's what I'm doing for her to get my book semi done and semi started, because I need to get this book done, and the other two books that I'm working on will wait until after journalism school. And I have already talked to a publisher. I just need more time to be working with a publisher.
Yeah. So you didn't self-publish any of your books?
I did self-publish my books, but now Amazon has gotten so wonky that I need help to publish.
Mm. Yeah, I could see that. I can understand that. So,
Yeah,
what were the problems you experienced with Amazon, or
well,
should I say self-publishing?
they squished my cover. They squished my cover. They
Oh,
squished the words on my cover, and I'm still looking at that cover right now. And that's why I had to get the cover redesigned. Like, when I had the cash to do it, I got the cover redesigned because they squished my cover, and it's like, no. And I thought, I will always get help. I will always get a professional cover design. And so, yeah.
yeah. I have been fortunate to work with some really good people. Somebody who does my editing for me and does my graphic designs for my book covers, help me design my website, help me. So I have products. I also have a few products. One's called Cut Cards, and they help you cut through tough emotions, to be able to connect with God in prayer. Because when you're extremely anxious, you're up in your head and it's hard to focus. Your mind just keeps going and going and going. So these cards actually help you in a very streamlined way. And then there's a journal that goes with it. And so I met this guy. I was at a conference and I just got this idea. I heard he was a graphic designer, and I was like, hey, can we have a conversation? Actually, since then, have used him on multiple projects and have developed a really good working relationship with him. And I think you need people like that that you can consistently count on, because they can do things for you that maybe aren't in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I love the creative side of it, but like honestly, I cannot do book covers,
No,
I can't do videos. And so finding a team of people that you really can have a relationship with is, well, it's just absolutely amazing to have that. And
yeah,
it sounds like that's what you have with your book coach.
I do. And she has a huge um, network of people. And if you guys want to go back and listen to that episode, and we're going to do another collaboration again because of her helping me and we'll walk you guys through the steps of her helping me and her helping me with this project. And this project should be really, really interesting as to how it comes out. So yes. And so I
So here's the
appreciate,
dreamer side of me. Wouldn't it be cool if you two did some journalistic workshops to help other journalists or would be journalists?
yes, but she's more into the book end of it than the journalist end of it. She she's more into the book end of it than the journalist end of it. I'm more into the journalist end of it and the book end of it. So yeah, but that would be cool. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and I hope that you would use Lisa's services and make a connection with Lisa. And I know she's made a connection with a contact of mine, and her name is I her name is Emily. I almost called her Sam, but Emily, I almost called Emily Sam for some weird reason. Emily does a Emily's young, Emily's younger than Lisa and I put together. And Emily's actually coming on this podcast to share her story, and her story is going to be open and honest, and it
Mhm,
involves human trafficking of all things, you
mhm,
guys.
mhm.
And I am sorry, but Lisa and I are sitting there like, Emily, you need to slow down. And Lisa and I have talked about this. And it's like, she goes, I want this, I want this, I want this. And it's like, okay, you guys,
She has big call on her life, big dreams,
yes,
because she really wants to help people.
yes. And that's why I'm bringing on my podcast. And I'm also trying to help her develop a podcast as well. And we'll see what happens, you guys. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate your support and I appreciate you listening. And I will catch you guys next week with another fabulous episode. And just keep sharing those episodes out and keep supporting independent podcasters slash independent coaches slash independent everyone, because a lot of people got laid off their jobs due to what's going on right now. So let's just make this world a better place and support one another. Thanks to you guys. Bye, you guys.